Hi guys, this is a bit of a different video. Most of my videos tend to be, showing you a property that needs renovation and then I renovate it and I'll show you the end product. But quite a lot of the work I tend to do is on the properties that I have already renovated and I get them back from tenants, and there's sometimes things I've missed or things that the tenants have caused and I have to go back in and sort out those issues. So I thought I'd show you this property and the issues that I've developed over the years through renting and how I intend to put them right. So this house I've had for about 4 years now. I've had 3 different tenants in, and it's not been a straightforward house. There's been quite a lot of issues, mainly around damp, and the fact that we've had such a high turnover of tenants is probably reflected in that. So I'll show you what we found. I'm hoping this time we will finally get the issues sorted, the damp issues, but there are a lot of issues. So first of all, if we come into the lounge, tenants were complaining about condensation on this bay window. Now, I've got 2 properties that are similar to this, and speaking to the estate agents, it is quite a common issue with these properties. These bay windows, because they're sort of on obviously the external of the property, they do get cold and they attract the condensation, and those windows quite often will just be saturated with water, and it is an issue. So what we've done is we've taken the plaster off, because the plaster here was, well, I must have had salt sink because it was drawing the moisture, and I've boarded the bay window. Now, really you shouldn't put an insulation board on external walls, but I needed something that was going to add a bit more protection from the cold, and the insulated board was the only thing. So we've put that in. I'm hoping that will then solve a lot of the issue. We've obviously re-skimmed it, and yeah, I'm hoping that will now solve the issue on that one. The other option I had was to put another radiator in, put a radiator in that front bay, but then you're just relying on the tenants putting the heating on all the time when it's cold, which doesn't always happen, so you're still going to get that risk. The other issue I found, it wasn't really reported, this issue, but as we pulled the carpets up, that was concreted in, and what was happening is the moisture from the ground was coming up and it was getting onto the joists that were exposed there, and it was making all the floorboards wet around there. So what we've done is we've dug it all out, put some engineering bricks in to rest the new joist on, and that's not fixed down yet. I'll wrap it in damp and fix it properly, and then I've got a new floorboard which is ply to go on top of that. It's not an issue, but it's something that could become an issue in the future, so I'd rather sort it now. It's something that I didn't spot originally when I did the house, so yeah, hopefully it'll get sorted. Again, to be honest, how I noticed the issue in the front was because I noticed the issue here in the back first. It was really damp around this area where the hearth used to be, and again it was just pretty much soil that was under there, soil and rubble pulling the moisture up. It was causing all the floorboards around the edges to be damp, and the joists were just sat in the soil, so that's not ideal. And I think it was causing the chimney to be damp as well, so we've knocked all the plaster off, reboarded that, dug it out at the bottom there, put a new joist in, new floor, and yeah, hopefully that will then sort that issue. An issue here in the kitchen, and again this was an issue I didn't realise I had. The floor was a vinyl that was down and it was in bad condition, so I thought I'd rip it up and replace it. When I ripped it up, I found underneath there the floorboards were rotten pretty much, and I had actually replaced those floorboards sort of 3-4 years ago when I bought the property, and they were damp then, and I thought the reason was the fact that someone had their tumble dryer there, or washing machine, and it just leaked, and so that's what I put that down to, and I wasn't aware that there was no ventilation getting to this floor. It's all suspended timber floors, no ventilation getting to it, and when I looked under, it was soaking wet. The joists were absolutely soaking, so I've had to do some further measures outside, and I've installed some air bricks here. So we've got 2 more air bricks on this side, and then there's one under here as well, and I put another one just over on this side here. So I'm hoping that will then get a bit more ventilation through the floors and solve. I only did it yesterday, and I've come in today and it is actually looking drier already, which is great. So I'm going to leave that floor up for now. I've got a couple of weeks before the tenants move in, so I'll leave it another week. Make sure it is drying out before I put anything back on. And then issues you always get in the corners there. The tenant reported that the next door's extension was causing a leak here. They then handed their notice in, so I'll sort it out once they moved out. But it turns out it's a bath that was leaking, which is obviously frustrating, but it's probably my fault for not getting to it quick enough. So it's a simple fix. It was just the coupler that was on the waste pipe had failed, so I've got a new one and I'll replace that, and hopefully that'll solve that issue. Bathroom's okay. Again, it's one of those things I didn't do during the renovation when I bought the property. It's clear glass in the bathroom, and they just put film over it, and so I just left the film on, and it's just been failing, and people have been sellotaping it up, and it just gets damp behind it, gets mouldy, and it looks a mess. So yeah, replace the glass. I've ordered new glass. It's a couple of weeks, so it might be tight with the tenants moving in, but we'll get it. I'll just replace it for a satin obscure glass. This is the front bedroom, the master bedroom. Again, this bay window has been causing the issues. What we've had under here is, this is a flat roof above the bay, and there's no insulation. It's really shallow. There's only about 2-inch joists on it. So basically getting any insulation in there is pretty much impossible. So what we've actually done is, again, we've insulated board the ceiling. It has brought it down a bit, so getting a curtain rail on the top there will be a bit tricky, but I'll get it. And yeah, obviously just skimmed it up to blend it in. So it's only a 30mm insulation board, so it's not massive, but it should do something, and it just should stop mould growing on the underside there as well, which was the main issue with the property. And then it's a 3-bedroom, this one. This is a box room, and again the issue was it's dried up now, which is great, but basically at the top there it was all damp, and down at the bottom it was all damp. And yeah, you know, if your box room tends to be for nurseries, things like that, it's no good if you've got a baby in this room. It's not acceptable really. So ripped all the plaster off, taken it all off again, insulated board it, has brought it out a bit further than, you know, you can just about see the window board there. So it has brought it out a bit further in what is already a cramped room, but it needs something doing to it. It obviously wasn't right how it was. So yeah, insulated boarded it. Now hopefully that should solve the issue. I mean, it was only done a few days ago, and it's nearly all dry. So yeah, hopefully it is doing something. So yeah, so they're not big issues, you know. We managed to board and skim in a day and a half between the two of us. Got to get all the skirting boards back on now, get the floor put back down, and then it's gonna have to get a full fresh lick of paint, which, you know, 3-4 years in, 3 different tenants of renting, and just giving it first lick of paint now, it's probably about right. You can always touch up bits, but you know, you always notice where you've touched up, because even the same paint is different colour once it ages. So yeah, we'll touch it up, and I'll give you a tour when it's all finished and hopefully ready for rental. Cheers.